And Dr. Weston, it's great to speak with you again. So let's just start off where Ange ended there. And that, of course, is the fact that we have 3 vaccines already in the U.S. We have Moderna, we have Pfizer, and we have J&J. Now we have this good news here from AstraZeneca. I'm curious just your thoughts on how big of a player do you expect AstraZeneca to be here just in terms of getting Americans vaccinated?
Yeah, thank you for having me back. I think a 4th vaccine would absolutely be welcome. We've seen increased production of Pfizer, of Moderna, and of the J&J, but certainly having one more vaccine on the market, an effective vaccine, a safe vaccine, would definitely be welcome as we ramp up and try to get as many people vaccinated as possible.
Doctor, can you help us understand? There was a headline in the New York Post, and it was one of those headlines. It was clickbait. Click on me to read, which said 3 people fully vaccinated reinfected with COVID. That's not necessarily a bad thing if you got the vaccine, because the vaccine keeps you from going to the hospital. What part, the Post, I won't editorialize, but what are people missing when they think the vaccine protects you 100% from ever catching the disease?
Right. So certainly you hit the nail right on the head. The vaccine does not prevent you 100% from catching COVID or even from having mildly symptomatic COVID. Now, the protection rates are extremely high, 90, 95% in a number of these vaccines, but it's still possible that you'll get infected, that you may have symptoms. What the vaccines do prevent, and every vaccine we've seen approved across the world does this, is it prevents hospitalization and so importantly, it prevents death. And it's been 100% in the trials for all the vaccines we've looked at, certainly for Pfizer, Moderna, J&J, and now AstraZeneca. And AstraZeneca, 0, not a single person had severe illness, hospitalization, or death. And in the end, that's what we need. If you have mild symptoms, if it feels like you have a mild flu or a bit of a cold, in the end, that's okay. But we want to make sure you don't have that severe disease, let alone hospitalization or death.
Dr. Weston, when we talk about AstraZeneca, it's clear that one of the big hurdles they're going to have, not only here in the U.S., but really worldwide, is just getting people on board with their vaccine, getting people comfortable in taking the vaccine. How big of a headwind do you see that being in the U.S., and what do we need to do in order to address it?
You know, it's a great question. Every vaccine has had, I think, challenges with acceptance. There's some challenges with Pfizer and Moderna because it's a newer vaccine technology we haven't seen before. Johnson & Johnson, the efficacy rate maybe on initial look didn't look as high as others, although I think when you look closer at that, it's actually a pretty impressive efficacy rate. And then AstraZeneca, of course, had some brief questions about clotting. Now, it doesn't appear that that's a concern with AstraZeneca by any means. And I think in the end, the benefits of taking these vaccines, whether it's Pfizer, Moderna, J&J, AstraZeneca, the benefit so far exceeds the risk of taking these vaccines. It's not even a comparison. That, you know, the best vaccine for you is the one you can get, and the one you can get today, ideally.
And with people rushing to get vaccines, they just lowered that to 50 in New York City. We're seeing the scenes out of Miami, Florida, with young people not taking any precautions and, you know, congregating. At what point, realistically, will we not have to wear masks? And can we congregate without the press saying this is a bad thing?
Yeah, it's a good question. We'll get there. I think we'll definitely get there. I think there's a few phases to this. So first, individuals have to get vaccinated. When you and your family members are vaccinated, you can get together. You can have those gatherings and do it in a safe way. Next, you have your community or even your state or your country getting vaccinated to a high enough degree that you have that herd immunity. And I think at that point, we can start having more public gatherings. We can start knowing what situations are safe for masks, which one aren't. Now, the third phase, which is quite a ways away, is when we have global herd immunity, when we can do international travel anywhere in the world you want, just like you could, a year ago. And that, I think, is a ways off. But certainly community herd immunity and potentially national herd immunity, I think, is more attainable and hopefully will come sooner than later.
Dr. Weston, talking about attaining herd immunity, I mean, how big of a risk are the crowds in Miami when we talk about the potential consequences of these actions?
Yeah, so we've known from the very beginning, anytime you have a close gathering, there can be a risk. Now, we see on the picture you have on your screen there, these are outdoor gatherings. That brings the risk down a little bit. It's in open air. Certainly, that's better. If people are wearing masks, that's better. But having people in close proximity together is never great, especially in large gatherings like that. And so we know we're not out of the woods yet. We have the variants, especially in Florida. They've seen they have a lot of the, especially B117 variants. So we still need to be vigilant even now.